The new government did announce lifting of the ban from student unions, but would the youth of the country get back what was taken away by a military dictator in 1984?
मैं इस तारीखी मौके पर ट्रेड यूनियन और स्टूडेंट्स यूनियन की बहाली का ऐलान करता हूं।
But along with the question is, should students union be subservient to political parties?
That governed students' unions earlier, before 1984, were different for different universities. And this time they intend to actually define regulations in a rather uniform way, because they intend to address a very central issue. And that central issue, which is in the minds of the of the university administrators and the administration, is that often student unions become a vehicle for country's politics. The politicians have their political parties have their student wings, and these student wings then use the platform of student unions to further the programs of those political parties and political agendas of those political parties, and therefore they think that this is something that should be stopped.
लेकिन कुछ ऊपर एक साल गुजर चुका है और अभी तक तलबा यूनियन के इलेक्शन नहीं करवाए गए, और ये ऐलान भी सिर्फ ऐलान ही की हद तक रहा है।
स्टूडेंट पॉलिटिक्स में से बैन हटना चाहिए, ताकि स्टूडेंट्स के अंदर जो फ्रस्ट्रेशन का एक माहौल है वो ख़त्म हो और उनको अपनी बात को, अपने जो है मुतालबात को आगे ले जाने का, इंतज़ामिया तक, हुकूमत तक पहुंचाने के लिए उनका एक अपना प्लेटफॉर्म होना चाहिए।
बिल्कुल मादर पिदर आज़ाद यूनियन नहीं चलेगी, और अब ज़माना 80 वाला नहीं है, अब ज़माना 2009 वाला है। उस ज़माने में जो है वो झगड़ा अगर होता था तो साथी बुला के लाने में भी 2 दिन लगते थे, अब एक मिस कॉल पे आते हैं।
Without any ado, I will say that they must be revived and they should work independently.
There must be, I believe there must be student wings of the parties who can provide the parties a future leadership.
तशद्दुद की बात हो या सियासी जमातों का इन्फ्लुएंस हो, ये यूनियन की अदम मौजूदगी में ये चीज़ें बड़ी हैं, और ये जो यूनियन की अदम मौजूदगी के 24-25 साल हैं और उससे पहले जो तलबा यूनियन की मौजूदगी का दौर था, तो इनको जब कंपेयर करते हैं आप इसमें
जो फिगर्स मिलती हैं जो स्टूडेंट क्लैशेस की, अगर वो मैं आपको बताऊं कि उस दौरान से 151 ड्यूरिंग द 47 till 84 से 151 क्लैशेस स्टूडेंट के दरमियान हुए, और ये जो 24 साल का पाबंदी करते हैं इसके अंदर 635 क्लैशेस हुए। इस तरीके से जो स्टूडेंट्स इनके दरमियान एक्सपायर्ड हुए, 47 से 84 ओनली 13 स्टूडेंट वाज एक्सपायर्ड ड्यूरिंग दैट पीरियड, और 84 से 2008 तक 185 स्टूडेंट्स इस क्लैशेस की नज़र हुए।
और साथ साथ ये ज़िम्मेदारी तमाम तर तलबा तंजीमों पर भी आयद होती है कि वो तशद्दुद की सियासत से इज्तनाब करें और भाईचारगी को फ़रोग़ दें और मिलजुल कर पॉजिटिव हेल्दी एक्टिविटीज़ की तरफ काम करें और तलबा की भलाई के लिए काम करें।
The idea that this will curb activities of political student groups, I think perhaps will be a little too ambitious. I don't think it will be able to do this, and it perhaps should not aim at doing this, because to have political student groups is much better than having them organize themselves on religious, ethnic or sectarian basis.
In the context of Pakistan, we see that the absence of a leftist student movement and a leftist movement in general has given rise to ethnic and religious extremism. And it is causing the fracturing of society in a manner that is extremely unprogressive.
But perhaps all is not lost. The recent protests against the emergency imposed by General Musharraf in 2007 saw the revival of student power. To many, it was reminiscent of a forgotten time.
In fact, the space in public universities shrank dramatically. And at the same time, since private universities were only concerned with profit, a certain amount of space opened up in private universities. And that's why I think we see the gravitation of intellectuals of liberal or democratic persuasion towards, quite aside from the monetary incentive, but that is another reason why we see it. There was a group of progressive teachers at LUMS that entered about 4 years ago, myself included. And one of the central debates that came about in the vibrant environment created by Lams, especially in the social sciences department, was the question of whether Pakistan was being better served by a military dictatorship or would be better served in a democratic setup. So there was a very vibrant, active and open debate. This was arguably one of the few institutions where one could talk about these issues without fear of intimidation by political groups that were opposed. So I think it was that vibrant intellectual environment which allowed students to raise those questions, to think through those issues. And I think that was one of the reasons why progressively Lams students were of the opinion that democracy was better served. And then of course there was what one calls the straw that breaks the camel's back. And that was the fact that at the HRCP, when a group of people was picked up right after the emergency was imposed, some of those people were actually professors from Lams. And so the protest movement was also very keen on ensuring their safety and their release.